Later today, the Speaker of the House and the President will begin bipartisan discussions about the future trajectory of our government's borrowing and spending. It is right, appropriate, and entirely normal that our need to raise the debt limit would be paired with negotiations regarding Democrats' runaway printing and spending. The American people changed control of the House because the voters wanted to constrain Democrats' runaway, reckless party-line spending. The voters of this country looked at the trillions of dollars of party-line spending, the runaway inflation, and the mountain of debt. And last November, they hit the brakes. We just experienced 2 years when Washington Democrats got to set policy without negotiating, and the American people put an end to it. Some Democrats are trying to rewrite history and pretend that Republican demands for negotiations are unusual, but that, of course, is just false. Back in 2017, the Senate Democratic leader said the debt ceiling gave Democrats, quote, leverage in broader talks. As the New York Times explained back in 2017, then Speaker Pelosi and the Democratic leader, quote, began formulating a plan to apply pressure, jettisoning the idea of backing a straightforward or clean debt limit measure as a way to gain muscle in coming negotiations. That was the Pelosi-Schumer playbook for the debt limit, demand negotiations. Here's how the Democratic leader put it himself at the time. He said the debt ceiling, quote, gives another ample opportunity for bipartisanship, not for one party jamming its choices down the throats of the other. So I trust Democrats will be consistent with their past positions, and the White House will waste no time beginning the customary bipartisan negotiations with the new Republican majority over in the House. The President of the United States does not get to walk away from the table. The same president who happily signed off on trillions of dollars of needless party line spending needs to begin good faith negotiations on spending reform with Speaker McCarthy, and do it today. Now, on a related matter, there are lots of egregious ways that President Biden has wasted taxpayer money trying to buy up his low approval ratings. But the Democrats' proposal for student loan socialism is really one of the worst. It's like the Democrats paid scientists in a lab to invent the most unfair government handout that could possibly exist. Democrats want to take the graduate school loans of doctors and lawyers and white-collar professionals making six figures and put their debt on the shoulders of Americans who didn't take out loans at all. To the middle-class families who saved and sacrificed and skipped vacations to pay for more of their kids' college, the Democrats want to turn you into suckers. To the plumbers, firefighters, checkout clerks, and auto mechanics who made career choices to avoid taking on debt, the Democrats think the dentists and lawyers deserve extra handouts at your expense. To the patriots who volunteered to serve our nation in uniform as part of a plan to attend college debt-free, the Democrats want to change the rules behind your back. President Biden and his party wake up every day looking for ways to transfer money and power away from the working class toward elites. But even for today's Democratic Party, this one is especially galling. This is reverse Robin Hood policy. Democrats stealing from the working class to reward people who are comparatively better off. It just isn't fair on a personal level. It's also staggeringly reckless fiscal policy. Remember, this whole undertaking was first set up as a short-term emergency measure at the very start of COVID. Those earliest weeks when the entire economy seemed to be in a free fall. That was almost 3 years ago. So shortly afterwards, thanks to the Bipartisan CARES Act that came out of the Republican-led Senate, the economy rebounded. Household savings actually went up. Many white-collar professionals spent months, if not years, working remotely from the comfort of their living rooms. Any legitimate reason for pausing loan payments evaporated just a few months after it began. But the Democrats have kept it going year after year. Now they want to magically wave away people's debts altogether. Needless to say, this would be enormously expensive for the country. If you add up the cost of three things, the nearly 3-year-long pause thus far, the mass jubilee the Biden administration is trying to defend in court, and the Democrats' proposal to turn the income-driven payment program into permanent socialism, the total cost of these three measures is projected to hit $1 trillion. $1 trillion. This estimate is from our colleague, Senator Cassidy, who is shining a bright spotlight on these terrible policies as the incoming ranking member of the Help Committee. On top of all the reckless inflationary spending that Democrats have pushed through, they want to redistribute up to another $1 trillion away from working-class Americans toward college-educated people who already earn higher salaries on average. The Democrats want to squeeze even more money out of cashiers, welders, first responders, janitors, and cosmetologists, and send it to a group of people who already out-earn those people on an average basis. More reckless spending, more debt and inflation, and no fairness for American families.